We're going to be testing 3 builds today to find out how Shield Slam scales. All the way on the left, we have Battle Shout along with a flat amount of block. In the middle, you can see the block is the same, but there's no Battle Shout. And all the way on the right, we have a character with basically no gear, and you can see they have less block value and less AP. Let's get to the bottom of how this Shield Slam change actually works with the patch that just hit. You're going to see that the data speaks for itself, so I don't need to use any fancy math here. We're going to perform a ocular regression together. So just watch as I fast forward through a bunch of hits, and you're going to understand how the scaling works just fine. As you can see, right now I have a character that has very little AP and has 20.95 block value. Make sure you're looking carefully or you're going to end up missing it, but you should notice that the average damage is around 292, and there's very little deviation. This is the base spell, Shield Slam. You can see it only has 10 points worth of deviation. In this case, I have the one-handed weapon spec talent, so it has 11 points worth of deviation. You're going to notice that the differences between these different armor sets is larger than what that deviation is equal to. Now we're going to start putting on some gear so we can see how hard we hit when we have more AP and block value. I know you're probably wondering, isn't this going to muddy the effect of AP and the value of block itself? Of course, but we'll be able to detangle that later by simply using Battle Shout. Then we could find out how the scaling of AP actually affects Shield Slam without needing to worry about creating a very fancy experiment. If you've been paying attention thus far, you've probably noticed that the average value here is around 307, which is higher than the max value we had in the previous set of gear, where we had approximately 5 less block value total and way less AP total. But how much of an effect does AP have? Let's use Battle Shout and continue hitting this thing. Remember, before we had mid 290s, and here we had mid 300s as the average values. Sadly, it looks like AP really doesn't have very much of an effect, which kind of has me wondering, is it only strength that has an extra bonus, or is it literally just block value that has an extra bonus? As far as PvP concerns, I believe the only difference is that you get double the amount of scaling from block value now. However, this is what the blue post says, so I do believe that there is an increase on the amount of threat we're generating, and I feel confident in saying that they're going to make this scale up enough that Prot's going to be able to hold threat, but most likely you're not going to really enjoy using this move a whole bunch. However, Gladiator Stance is seeming pretty insane with the amount of DPS it can do. In Sims, people are getting similar DPS for Gladiator Stance and for Dual Wield Fury. The differences seem like they're less than 100 damage, so that could be pretty cool for PvP. I have a video related to that right here where I'm running the sim on 30k armor mobs, and it still does 1500 DPS. Kinda wild.